liberty, equality, and fraternity. These revolutionary ideals were associated with European nationalism. Despite repression from conservative regimes, revolutions happened in many European regions, like Italian and German states, Ireland, Poland, and the Ottoman Empire. These revolutions were led by educated middle-class liberal nationalist elites like professors, school teachers, clerks, and commercial middle classes. This was especially so in France, which, after 1815, was ruled by the Bourbons. However, in July 1830, the liberals overthrew them and installed a constitutional monarchy under Louis Philippe. The July Revolution in France led to an uprising in Brussels, leading to Belgium's independence from the Netherlands. Growth of revolutionary nationalism in Europe also spread to Greece, ruled by the Ottomans. Greek nationalists started their struggle against them since 1821. Greek nationalist struggle was supported by exiled Greeks and West European intellectuals who supported ancient Greek culture. West European intellectuals called Greece the cradle of European civilization and mobilized public support for Greece's struggle against Ottomans. One intellectual, Lord Byron, an English poet, went to fight in Greece, where he died in 1824. Greece became an independent nation by the Treaty of Constantinople. Besides wars and expansion, cultural works like art, poetry, stories, and music also shaped nationalist feelings in Europe. One such movement, Romanticism, emphasized on emotions, instincts, and feelings to create nationalist feelings by creating a sense of common cultural heritage or past. Romantics like German philosopher Johann Gottfried Herder believed that true culture was present among the masses. Vernacular folk songs, poetry, and dances were collected and recorded to popularize nationalist feelings. Local vernacular folklore was also used to spread nationalism among masses, especially in Poland, which was divided between Russia, Austria, and Prussia by the end of 18th century. Despite partition, Polish nationalist feelings were kept alive through music and language. Karol Karpinski celebrated the national struggle through operas, music and dances like Polonaise and Mazurka. In Russian-occupied Poland, Russian language was imposed at the expense of Polish. An anti-Russian uprising in 1831 was crushed. Subsequently, many Polish priests used Polish language in churches as a means of national resistance. Consequently, many were jailed or deported to Siberia. Meanwhile, European masses witnessed great economic hardship due to massive unemployment. People who left villages for jobs in cities lived in slums. Small producers in towns were losing to cheap British-made industrial goods, especially in textile industry. Peasants struggled to pay dues and were obliged to work for aristocrats. Rise in food prices or bad harvests led to widespread poverty. In 1848, food shortages and mass unemployment brought the citizens of Paris to the streets. Consequently, Louis-Philippe fled. Subsequently, a National Assembly proclaimed a republic, gave suffrage to all males aged 21 years and above, and guaranteed right to work, for which national workshops were set up. In Germany, Italy, Poland and Austria-Hungary, middle classes joined protests by poor people to push their own demands for a nation-state, a constitutional parliament and freedom of press and association. In German regions, middle classes and artisans voted for a German National Assembly. On 18th May 1848, 831 elected representatives marched to Frankfurt to hold a parliament. They drafted a constitution for a German nation with a monarchy that was subject to parliament. However, when they offered the German crown to Friedrich Wilhelm IV, he refused. Meanwhile, the middle-class-dominated Frankfurt Parliament lost support of lower classes, whose demands they had rejected. Simultaneously, the aristocracy-backed military disbanded the assembly. Apart from working classes, the German parliament lacked women's support. Despite their participation in liberal movements and in establishment of political associations and newspapers, women got no political rights. Despite their active participation in the revolution, instead of getting suffrage, women were mere observers in Frankfurt Parliament. After 1848, monarchs granted concessions to liberals to prevent more revolutions. Serfdom and bonded labor were abolished in Austria-Hungary and in Russia. In 1867, Hungarians in Austria-Hungary got more autonomy. Thus, the years from 1830 to 1848 changed the European political landscape. Nationalist feelings were expressed through revolutions, which set the tone for future creation of nation-states.